be strong in this time, son. I'm a survivor. I will survive. I will survive. And I'm a firm believer. We'll forever strive just to stay alive. That simple means it. Nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can tell me sick. I will let alone negativity. Nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can. Nobody can. Everybody show me some strength. No weakness. Show me a lion. Strength. No weakness. Show them who we are. Strength. No weakness. Show me a lion. Everybody strength. No weakness. Show them who we are. Not when you're old. Your enemies, they must tremble. Your enemies, they must tremble. Yo, not when you're old. Everything has to humble. Everything has to humble.
Ridealong Live, where everyone has a story to tell.
Yeah. You gotta be firm in this
Hey,
time.
what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
You gotta be strong in this time, son.
Yeah.
I'm a survivor.
Yeah.
I will survive.
Hey.
I will survive. And I'm a firm believer. We'll forever strive just to stay alive. That's simple.
Hey, what's up, Ridealong family? Welcome to the ride. Welcome to Monday on the ride. First of all, let me tell everyone something really quick before we start. That it is daylight savings time, right? So we have to fall back 1 hour. Now, our time didn't change. I mean, your time didn't change, sorry. So most of the folks that's watching us in the Caribbean are like, damn, 7 o'clock? I thought you guys coming at 6. Yeah, you're right. Our time never changed. But your time never changed. But what happened is in the Eastern Standard Time, we fell back. So we lost an hour. Because as you can see, I'm in pure darkness. Sometime when you guys watching the program, you realize that we're bright outside. But because of daylight saving time, the new time for you watching us in the Caribbean will be 7 p.m. I want you guys to remember that. Mark it down. Don't forget. That's our time that we're going to be on. Okay. Don't forget it. It's 7 p.m. your time. For the folks in England, I believe it's going to be 10. For the folks in England, I believe it's going to be 10. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's go.
I will not allow negativity. Nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can. Weakness, show me a lion. Strength, no weakness, show them who we are. Strength, no weakness, show me a lion. Everybody strength, no weakness, show them who we are. That's when you're old. Your enemies, they must tremble. Your enemies, they must tremble. Yo, and when you're old, everything has to humble. Everything has to humble. Right now, you are tougher and still. On this battlefield, you are tougher and still. Shoulders to the wheel, you are tougher and
Yeah, all right.
On this battlefield, you are tougher and
They call that when the battery die. All right, let's go to the chat and see who is inside. Yeah, sure enough. Look who's first. Judith. Big up yourself, Judith. Thank you for sharing. Sharing. Lovely Mac. What's up? How are you doing, Lovely Mac? I share. The keyword is I share. So as you come in, just say I share. Share the program and say I share. Whereas we have Kellyanne Charles. Thank you so much, Kellyanne Charles. How you guys doing? Amina. How you doing, Amina? I think I see you in a long time. Johnny English, how you doing? Big up yourself. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being a part of our program. Gail Courtney. Hey, Gail, how you doing? Pick up yourself. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, Colleen, cool and nice. Nice vibes. Nice vibes. Nice vibes. Everybody that's watching. Deborah James Roberts. How you doing, Deborah James? Hey, um, Lydia James. Let me tell all you something. Lydia James is normally the first person on, but Lydia James, you got beat to it today, girl. Somebody took your spot. It seems like. Yeah, Juju, how you doing? I allowed Judith to be first today. All right, Lydia, you give up your throne today. All right, guys. So listen, we have a very it might be a longer extended version of the program, right? Because we have so much to talk about today. And today we have four guests. We have four guests. And I know when we promote the program today, everyone see what we're going to be speaking about. We're going to be speaking about this tragic incident that happened in Grenada about a week ago. And to premise it off, we got to start from the beginning, where we learned of the story, right? So we learned of the story after it was reported that there was a shooting in Fontenoy involving a young man. We later found out that that man was, well, his name, we're not gonna mention his name because it seemed like no other media outlets have been mentioning. Not gonna outlet his name, but we're gonna call him for this sake of the program, Mr. Regis' son, right? The news broke that he was shot by police. This is how it was broadcasted on GBN. Check this out.
I was sitting in my veranda here yesterday morning about 6 o'clock when I heard my son cry out. Officer, he go shoot me. Hey, he go shoot me, officer. And one said, shoot him in the foot. Shoot him in the foot. But that didn't happen. All I heard was, bow. One shot to my son. To me, go for the hat. Take him in his arm. God must see that he took it in his arm and he went right through him. He told me he fell down on the ground and the officer shot him on the ground. Huh? After he cried out, Madam, I catch my backside to my tree. I take night and make day in the ocean. People laugh at me.
Trevor Regis, the father of gunshot victim Chris Regis of Fontenoy St. George, says the incident leaves him heartbroken. In an exclusive interview with GBN on Thursday, an emotional Mr. Regis relayed to GBN what his son told him about the incident.
What he told me, he was smoking a spliff right in his yard there. And the police come up and he tried to run away from the police. And the police didn't see him. But eventually the police also saw him and maybe run him down. He fell on the back of the house there because the other gentleman called me yesterday and showed me where he fell on the way they shoot him on the ground there. I mean, this is too ridiculous. And this is too out of hand now. Somebody got to put a stop to this policeman and then what they're doing there is wrong.
Police confirmed through a news release issued on Wednesday that an investigation has commenced into the incident. Mr. Regis believes the action taken by the lawman was too hasty.
Not everything you pull a gun and shoot somebody without a warning shot. Huh? Without saying stand up or you know what I mean? This is not the way, man. This is too ignorant, high class ignorancy. I can't digest it for nothing. This man hurting me is nothing you're shooting my child for. I could have seen if he tried to retaliate and try to fight with you or some kind of thing. Nobody in this village could never tell you that my children ever disrespect them.
The Royal Grenada Police Force says it is committed to upholding an impartial and transparent investigation into the incident. Mr. Regis told GBN that he will ensure he gets full justice for his son and intends to take legal action against those responsible.
So I try to do the best for my children. Now, I have 3 coaches teaching people in Good Hope Swimming Pool. Natalie Regis, Chris Regis, and Randa Regis. I feeling real hurt about it. To see my child with that big thing in hand. And when I know when he gets through there, he ain't going to be here no more. He can't be the same person no more. He could never swim again as he swim for Grenada and thing. He coached people for nothing for free just to get Grenada and to learn to swim. All about it going here and Natalie Regis. Sortes, pity mat, the carry around that he go and teach people to swim for free.
Chris Regis remains hospitalized. This is the second police-involved shooting with civilians over the past 4 months. The last incident was the shooting of well-known footballer of Guelph St. John, Jamal Charles, on July 5th. Cherry and Blackman Stephen, GBN News.
All right, so that was the story. The young man name is Mr. Chris Regis. To join us here first is his brother and Mr. Trevor Ridges' first son, Donnie Ridges. Donnie, welcome to the ride, and I'm sorry that we had to meet in this circumstance. But welcome. How are you doing today, Donnie? Donnie, are you able to hear me? All right, we rectified Donnie audio. Donnie, are you hearing me? All right, we'll work out Donnie's audio, visual. Okay, Donnie, are you back with us? Donnie, are you able to hear me?
Me do.
All right. Okay, Donnie, as I was saying earlier, welcome to the ride, and sorry that we had to meet under this circumstance here right now. Donnie, just tell us a little bit about um, Chris. Let's start there. And when you heard the story, what exactly? How did you find out about his shooting?
Well, the shooting, I found about the shooting when my cousin called me a morning. Because we sent kids. Yeah, that's my first cousin, my father's sister, daughter. And she asked me if I heard anything about my brother being shot. So I told her, well, no. So she told me call home and find out what really going on because she heard one of my brother got shot. Right? So I called home and he called my brother and he told me the man was shot because of a split. Right? And that is something the police always do when they come in point. You know, guys, point is a target. I don't know why. Yeah, point is always a target from ever since. I mean, the whole of point people know that. You check, and they go act as though it's not the truth, but it's always the truth. Point people always have so I mean they say it like how they have it is like point fellas don't want to work, they don't look no work, so they always on the block smoking weed and gambling. That's how them have it. But it ain't like that. You know, guys. I grew up in Point all my life. I live in Point. I just moved to St. Kitts just recently, and we go through enough things in Point. I mean, I had my instance where I had to run from police just the same way. Yeah. I mean, people. I mean, I don't know why the police treat Point fellas and Point people like that. I don't know, really and truly. Yeah.
Yeah, Donnie, it was reported that the police came upon your brother and he was running away from them and he was shot in the process of running away from them. Was that the version of the story that you heard?
No, there's no war hood.
Okay,
There's no
what was
war
the
hood.
story? What was the story? I want to get it clear as to because there's a
No.
lot of stories.
Well, I
There are a
heard that
lot
you
of
run
stories
from them, right?
out there. Go
Right.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. But what I heard is when he fell on the ground,
Yeah.
the police was right over him. So what I heard is that him and the police was having a conversation and then the shot was fired. So it shouldn't happen like that. Because if he's on the ground and what I understand that is that when he fell, he damaged two of his ribs. So Junior, tell me how possible it is for a man to damage two of his ribs and get up and run. I mean, he can't move. You can barely breathe if you damage two of your ribs. I mean, how much pain a man will be in there on the ground? So what scene it is for you to shoot the man on the ground?
Right.
You know what I mean? And if he running from you, what what threat he could be to you running from you? What harm he could do to you running from you? Could he do anything to you when he running from you? He can't do nothing to you, which means he running from you. So which means you're running down with intention to shoot him. Simple. And I heard when the man shoot the man, when he shot my brother,
I heard is that when they search him and they realized that he didn't have anything on him, and one turned to him and next one and say, whoa, we shoot the man and the man don't have nothing on him. They ain't go say that. You check? Who shoot him, know who shoot him. You guys are saying, Junior?
Yeah.
Who shoot him, know who shoot him. They wouldn't say the name of the people who shoot him. They wouldn't broadcast it on the radio. They wouldn't broadcast it on the TV. They wouldn't bring it on the news. Because that's what police do. Police always cover for police. It is one thing. I know. I live in Point and I know. I know what my father going through with them. I know.
I understand.
John, my father work hard. The man say it on the news. He work hard to mine. This man is a fisherman. Right?
Yeah.
This man is a fisherman. I show none of them police never even spend a day on the water fishing in to know how hard it is. You have them on a coast guard, and I go talk about that because they wouldn't talk about that. You know how much times my father have to go out and find men that lost at sea? Which the police and the coast guard never want to do. Me no know, they have a big boat. Look how big the boat is with a big gun on it. Yeah? And they still don't want to go out there to find men, fishermen from Grand Mall and Point that were lost at sea. They refuse to go. Right? The other instance with my brother, the one after me, and my cousin from Pity Martini, and the other next one with them. They both sank. Them men spent like about what? 2 days in the water, plus nights in the water. Yeah? The Coast Guard never went for them. They never went for them. My father had to get a crew, and a couple of the men from the village to go and find them, man, and them. You know, guys? The police just want to shoot people. That's all they want to do. And harass people for marijuana. And there are big people over there. They know there are big people over there juggling the cocaine. You want to tell me they know that? Yeah? Look how much men get shot. I have a brethren of mine from Point. Right?
Yes.
Well, I shouldn't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get arrested. Right? For drugs. Went to court. And what happened, Junior? The evidence gone. So what happened? The evidence put on foot and walk out of the station or walk out of wherever they had it. The police take it and bring it out the street and sell it. That is what they do. But they don't go talk about that. They go talk about, oh, they're taking it and go and burn it. Shipping is talking.
Yeah,
because people don't know. If people don't know. I mean, I go talking. I go reading and I come back home.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah. How did your father?
So tell them they can wait from an airport if they want to, and lock them up if they want to. But I go talk. Because there are instances where my father was forced to get locked up. Right? The other time he was in the Point, right by the police station. He and a good brethren of his, I grew up in Point together with him. The partner, the brethren just came from St. Thomas, either St. Thomas or St. Croix. So they by the post office and they reasoned him. He had on a short pants. I don't know if you know, well, most of the footballers don't know it right now. I don't know if the younger ones, they might know it, but the Rossi pants. I don't know if you know the Rossi football pants, the silk pants. They have no pocket. Kevin can tell you about them. Because that was Kevin's favorite set of pants. No pocket. Junior and the man tried to force a joint on the man. Right? The van load try to force a joint on the man, try to push it in the pocket, in the pants. You have no pocket, they fall on the ground. They still go with the man. So that's a thing police do. And there are enough men to tell you that.
Right.
They walk with stuff and put it on people and say it's theirs to lock them up.
Right. Okay, so let's kind of transition a bit about your father.
Because you have people go through that. I know you have people go through that. And not only in Point. I show you many go through that. I show you many in Grenville.
Yeah. Danny, let me ask you a quick question. When your father found out about this whole incident, did you spoke to him? Because it seemed like he took this thing really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
How did that affect him psychologically from after speaking and conversating with him?
Well, I didn't get the chance to speak to him, to be honest, because after I heard my brother get shot, I mean, I was like so down. To be honest, I was like real down. Yeah, talk to my brother and my father was like up and down. You know what I mean? Because that's what he do. He go and he go look out for we,
Yeah,
right? So he go try to find the best for us. I mean, I had a good dad. I can't tell you I didn't have a good brother.
yeah.
Jeez.
Let's
You see,
just
it
yeah,
was overbearing.
yeah,
It was overbearing because he had too much. He went through too much with police. To be honest.
yeah. Okay, so again, we want to
Yeah.
focus on. I know that the whole family is going through a lot. You're going through a lot. A lot of unanswered questions. I want to kind of understand the man himself because there have been a lot of stories that have been out in the blogosphere that that kind of paint a kind of negative picture of the person. So paint the picture. Who was Mr. Trevor Regis? If you could just give us a holistic idea of the man himself. Uh, Paint the picture of your father to us. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me bring in another one of our guests here on the program. Kevin Cador has been a family friend of the Regis for many years. He also consider himself as almost like a brother. Kevin,
Uh,
welcome to the program.
can
Kevin,
I?
go ahead. Donnie. I know it's tough. I know it's a tough, in retrospectively looking back at it, Donnie. So I could understand your pause. I could definitely understand your pause, and I could understand it's difficult, and if it becomes
Can I break it up?
overwhelming.
I hear you too good,
Okay, all right, Donnie, stand by a quick second. Kevin, tell us a little bit. You've been a close family friend of the Regis for many years. Uh, Tell us about your relationship with Mr. Trevor Regis and his family.
Hi, Junior. So even just watching Mr. Trevor talk about what happened to Santa, as we always call him Santa. His name is Chris because he's born on Christmas Day, but we call him Santa. And just watching the dad talk about that brought tears to my eyes because I said I know that whole family, and it's unfortunate that the way that Danny and I connect after a couple of years of being away in different countries because his dad got killed. But I don't know what the police painted, what social media painted of Mr. To tell you what I know as a kid growing up. Danny family lived about two houses behind my mom's house. So I see them every single day coming down the hill, going up the hill, because my mom's house is at the bottom. And Mr. Trevor was a dad that everybody wanted to have because I've never, ever seen that man in an argument. He mentioned about his kids, but it's not even his kids. The kids learn from the parents. He was never in an argument. He never had a quarrel. He never disrespect anybody. He passed down the street. We at the bottom of the street. We say good morning, Mr. Trevor. Good night, Mr. Trevor. Like it was losing him. Honestly, it's not even for Danny and his family. You know, it's the whole community. The whole point lost a person that every child could say had some kind of positive influence in their life. And I know I shared with you earlier on, when we were talking, that I don't even think Danny knew that. There are times when I was going to PVC and I didn't have money for bus, that Mr. Trevor was the one that actually gave me money to take the bus. So I wouldn't have to stay home from school. So it's tough. It's tough for my family because my family knew that family. My mom actually probably had the most kids in that community there, followed by Danny's parents, Miss Becky and Mr. Trevor. And my mom's house was an extension of every kid in the community's parent home, from Danny to his older sister Natalie to the younger siblings. They all was in my mom's house or in my mom's yard at some point in time. So I know that family, and I know it's hurtful. It's hurtful.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. Let's bring in another one of the activists who was um, have been following also a very close friend of the family. Have been following everything that's happening from the beginning and was keeping us up to date. Mr. Joel Greenidge. Joel, welcome to the right, sir. Again, we're meeting under these circumstances, and that we didn't have to, but we are, and we have to put this thing into perspective. Joel, tell me from your point of view, from talking to all the family members, from being on the ground, what did you hear or what did you know transpired on that fateful day, the shooting of the son, followed up a week after with the shooting death of the father, Mr. Trevor Regis?
Yeah, well, basically, I was informed about that incident by a friend, right? Of a shooting incident that happened in Fountain. And after the person communicated who the individual was, I was really a bit surprised because, I mean, I know Santa for a while. I mean, always a very pleasant young man, very respectful, but he would pass me in tongue, always, engage me, positively. I know you also used to be doing swimming, like coaching some of the private schools. I mean, I've never known him to be in anything at all, so I was very surprised when I heard that incident happen. And after following through and listening to stories and engaging different people's, I understand that he was shot for a split in a position in which he was literally helpless and defenseless. So I found that was very alarming. That at a time in our country when we had many incidents of police brutality, especially during the lockdown period, um, re- after listening to the incident that happened in Guab that would have resulted in a sort of civil unrest in that community, people taking to the street and protest, and really listening to the Mr. Vannie Curwen in charge of the community relation department giving his commitment to bring an end to this type of heavy-handed approach by the RGPF. I was really surprised to hear that this incident actually would have transpired. And what was most alarming and painful about this whole situation is the manner in which it happened, but also the delay in terms of swift justice, because it was a clear case situation, in my opinion. And I mean, after almost over a week, um, there was no information coming from the community relation department of the police of any charge being laid against the individual. I mean, normally when our citizens commit an offense, there's swift action to charge a persons. But when there's an incident of police committing these type of offenses, and when it is very clear that these offenses was not justified, I think that they're very slow in terms of really giving the family that sort of satisfaction that they deserve. I mean, there have been many incidents of police brutality over the years. I mean, we heard about the 2013 killing of Oscar Bartholomew. We're in 2020, and that family has still to be satisfied that justice has been served. I mean, up to 7 years. I mean, no charge has been laid against these officers responsible. I understand that his mother would have hung herself, right? We heard what happened with Jamal Charles and Guav. There was promise of a thorough investigation from all witness account. It was a case of I would say of the police using excessive force, right? I mean, if a man is unarmed, the police is not trained in self-defense. They are not trained in tactics of diffusing a situation. Why do the police always have to resort to lethal force, right? And that is a major concern, that there has to be a reform of the whole policing procedures, and also how police actually use force. There must be a very clear way in which police can use force. Some of these situations that has happened, in my opinion, should not. And you could have seen it was clear all over his face, the deep pain and stress and frustration that he was under. And to know that the state did not step in and offer that level of counseling and emotional support for this grieving or father, who have had one of his sons shot in the way it actually happened. Matter of fact, on his own premises. It's just unfortunate. It is sad. And I really did put myself in this position. And Junior, you can recall, I think it was last week Sunday, when I did that live on Kem Jones, and I mentioned that, if people continue to knock on the door of justice and the door continue to remain shut in their face, eventually people will kick down the doors of justice. And I've said in the interview, we would not want to get to that place. But with these incidents happening, people can, it takes a sinker just like that, just a snap of the finger for someone to trip off, especially when they're under that overwhelming stress and pressure resulting from that. And that fact, there's always also a saying, justice delayed is justice denied. And we have seen cases of many people showing up in the police station, reporting incidents of police abuse and police brutality. They've been sent to this department, sent to that other department. They've been frustrated until they just eventually just give up. I've had many of those persons reach out to me and tell me the horror stories of what their family had to be faced with, as a result of police harassment and police brutality, and just the disrespect of some members of the RGPF. And they have reached out to the Community Relation Department, to many departments, seeking justice, seeking answers, only to be pushed around, run to all different departments, and eventually they just have to accept the situation for what it is, So it is really sad. In the last 5 years, have you ever heard any situation where police was ever brought to justice for police brutality or violating the human rights or constitutional rights of any citizen? No, it has not happened. All you have heard is promise that a thorough investigation will happen, only to come back to find out that the police was acquitted, or the police was not even, there was not enough grounds to charge that officer, or the actions of that police was justified.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate and really sad.
It is unfortunate. I just want to also add, as I bring back in Donnie in here, that Donnie, I know that this situation is hard on every one of your family members, right? And what we at Ridealong going to do, and I say it right here before the program, when you get further, that I know that your sisters and even yourself is going through some serious traumatic experiences, and we are going to have someone from our team who's a psychological analyst. He help people in those areas. He's gonna speak with you guys. Whatever cost that's gonna be borne, we're gonna cover that cost. but I think there's an intervention that needs to happen with every one of the family members because you guys are going through a lot. So following the program here, I'll get in touch with someone that will call each one of you guys and speak with you guys one on one if you need that assistance. All right, Donnie. I'm not sure. No, I was saying
You kind
that
of break it up a little bit.
I was saying at the end of the program, I'll have someone reach out to you to help you if you need anyone else to talk to, because I know that you're going through a lot at the moment, but we are going to bond the cost of whatever assistance that would need. After the program, I have someone contact you so you could talk to them in any details, any assistance that you might need. Okay?
All right, cool. Look a bit. Yes,
All right, we'll do that. We'll bring back in Kevin here, and I want to look at the police response because we're still trying to piece all the stories together, right? There's so many stories, and so we get a chance to speak to the man that's in charge of community relations, Officer Vannie Curwen, and I want us to look at his response to the incident. Let's take a quick look at it. In fact, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we have an interview here I want you guys to see with Vannie Curwen. Don't move, we'll be right back. You're watching Ridealong Live.
A message by the Grenada Distillers Limited.
You want a hand sanitizer to do 3 things: kill germs, be gentle, and to go where you go. You can get all of that in our hand sanitizer. Hard on germs, gentle on hands, affordable. Remember, hand sanitizers contain alcohol. Keep away from heat and flames and avoid contact with eyes. Available at retailers island-wide.
Hi guys, you're watching Ridealong Live, and we are back, and we're speaking here with Kevin, Donnie, and Joel. And we had an interview earlier with Officer Vannie Curwen, who is the public relations. We had this extended interview. We're going to break it up in pieces. I want you guys to take a look at this, and let's talk about it. Take a look. Relation, a professional standard audit and research and development. We're happy to have him on the ride for the very first time. Officer Curwen, thank you so much for being here on the ride. We really appreciate you taking the time out, sir.
Thank you very much, Junior, and I'm happy to be here representing the IGPF.
All right, great. We're going to go right into it. Before we go on and talk about this particular topical issue, I want to find out about the rules of engagement in terms of the police and the community.
Well, Junior, to start off with, let me speak a little bit about the use of force, because I think this is something that quite a lot of people are not okay with, but I think it's important to take that on board as we go forward. Because a lot of what we have been hearing about police brutality, etc., a lot of those are exaggerated and not having the proper understanding on the force that police officers can use in the execution of the duty. There is a very large section of our criminal code that gives police officers the right to use force in executing the duty. It becomes police brutality when the force is excessive. In other words, when the force is not equal to the threat that you face. If you are arresting somebody and that person is resisting you, you are entitled in law to use reasonable force that is just required to compel the person's compliance. Okay? If you're being attacked with a knife or a gun or a cutlass, you're expected to use force, in some cases warranting the death of somebody. If you're in your premises at night and you're being attacked or there is an intruder, you are entitled to be able to defend your person and your property, and in some cases, you could use force extending to killing that person. So I think that's a misconception that the public have in terms of police use of force. So the rules of engagement requires police officers to use force that is necessary to repel a particular threat, but the force must not exceed the threat that you face.
So let's go back to the start of what was reported here as the shooting incident in Fontenoy involving this young man's son, Mr. Reed's son, right? Were the force justifiable?
Right, and this is where we are now, Junior. That is what an investigator will have to determine. I am not in a position to say at this point whether or not the force was excessive or whether or not the force was justifiable. We have not yet spoken to all of the parties. In fact, the victim has only been released from hospital, I believe it was Friday. We have not yet had an opportunity to speak with him to get his version of the facts. We have been hearing several people's versions. People who were not present have been putting out versions out there. We are an advanced organization and we have not to go on the innuendos of people. We deal with the facts. And unless and until all of the facts are in, I will not be able to see whether or not those force or that force was justifiable or not. And in fact, and I want to clear this up front, Junior, because a lot of people think that we are investigating ourselves and we are judge and jury in our own cause. This is not the case. And I want to make it clear how these processes work. Because the RGPF is the only investigative arm in the country, obviously we will investigate all matters that is brought to our attention. And there is no other organization, there is no other system that is set up to do that. So we will do that. But what we don't do, having investigated the matter, what we don't do is make a determination on who is right or who is wrong or the particular outcome of that matter. We would then send the complete file to the Director of Public Prosecution, who has a constitutional independent position and doesn't answer to anybody. We would send that investigation to him. He would look at the facts and the circumstance. He is free to direct the police as to what other investigation or what other facts he thinks are necessary. He can send the police back to get information that perhaps they did not get before, or to streamline whatever has been brought to him. In other words, he directs what happens. And at the end of the day, he makes a decision as to who is right, who is wrong, and the outcome. And that outcome will be communicated to us. So while we investigate, we're not judging him in our own cause. So to answer your question specifically, I am not yet in a position to say who is right, who is wrong, or whether the force was excessive or justifiable in the shooting that happens in Fontenoy just over a week ago.
We're going to pause it there and get you to respond. Joel, you care to respond thus far?
You know, that's where the problem is wrong in this country, Junior. When you have these kind of individuals, people like that, with that sort of mindset and that sort of thinking, who lacks empathy, who lacks compassion, sitting in certain positions and making these sort of pronouncements, that's what's wrong with our system, Junior. That is what is wrong with our system. I don't even want to comment on that, man. I don't even want to comment. Trust me. I don't want to comment, Junior. Please. Seriously? This is the person who is heading our communication relation department. These are the kind of statements you would make. Junior, I'll leave that right there. Honestly, I wouldn't really comment on that. And the world is listening to that. People in different parts of the world is watching this live now, Junior. And when they look and listen to those kind of pronouncements and realize where these people sit at our RGP, they laugh at Grenada. Something has to be wrong in this country, Junior. They're laughing. I had friends, right, during the midst of who follow some of the programs, and they've listened to these individuals and they ask me what is wrong in this country. If these are the people that are leading our RGPF, something's wrong. That is exactly why families continue when they listen to those sort of those sort of reactions coming from the hierarchies of the RGPF. Does that give them any hope? Does that give them any confidence that justice will be served? All they are seeing is just a cover-up. That's all they are seeing, just a cover-up for members of the RGPF. That's all that is happening. These people don't have no humanity in them, Junior. And that is what is wrong with our country today. No humanity. I look at this man's whole disposition. No sense of, remorse, not even a sense of empathy. Just cold. Just totally cold.
So true, Joe. True.
Yeah.
Just cold emotions.
Let's look at a part 2 of that interview. Kevin, you wanted to comment on what you saw so far, because you also had police background.
Yes, Junior. So, as I said before, I I left coaching back in Grenada 20 something years ago to join the ILGPL because, as I said, I had family members. Leroy Cador, otherwise known as Cabbage, is a blood relative to my mom. Okay, I joined the police force. He was even more determined that I joined the force than I was. But I left the force probably a couple months into it because, as I told you before, when I realized the things that people get harassed by the police and arrested by the police for in Grenada, it's ridiculous. Like, okay, obscenity. Uh, I live in Toronto. Sometimes I watch people face to face use obscenity to the police over here in Toronto, and the police just smile and walk off. You have to pick and choose your battles. That's not a battle you really want to pick up and get involved in. So I left the police force because I knew my mom was working at the fish market. You hear obscenities more than anywhere else. I have siblings who are working at the fish market, and there's no way I could have justified going and arrest my family for using obscenities. But Joel said something here. My background in Toronto is mental health and policing. I did police science. I have a diploma in police science. I also have a diploma in community and public and justice relations. I studied how the law enforcement should react with the community in order to get the community to be on board. And when I hear what Cohen's saying here, like Joel, it gets me angry. It gets me angry to know that all he's concerned about is to justify the actions of the police. The police was hired to serve the people of Grenada, not to abuse the people of Grenada, not to intimidate the people of Grenada. And I have had cases, I can tell you, like personal cases, where I was in Grenada and in Fontenoy, there was this lady who had mental health problems. And I remember going back on vacation a couple years ago, and the police, the ROU, they're all under the same umbrella. And, they for some reason, they tend to like Fontenoy. I don't know exactly what about Fontenoy attract them. And they came up that same area where Enta live, where I live, and to me it was like a scene out of a movie. They jumped out of a moving pickup truck with guns drawn, and this lady was there, and I know she's mentally ill because I've known her before I left Grenada. And when I went back, her mental health issues got worse. But I stood there and I watched them beat that woman, physically abuse that woman because she was saying something that they didn't want to hear. And they were just, it was an abuse of power, literally. And much less to somebody who are already suffering from mental health problems. Okay? Yeah. And I stood there and I literally had to shake my head because I said to myself, if this was in Canada, for sure, our family was going to launch a major lawsuit against the police. The police in Grenada, the problem with the police in Grenada is that they think that their way of getting through to the community is by intimidation, is by physical abuse, is by aggression, is by use of force. And I have followed. I have a niece. I'll tell you this. I have a niece who a couple months ago during the COVID pandemic, and I had actually posted a video on Facebook where she's standing in the yard of the house that her mom was living. She and her brother and her boyfriend. The police came up to
Kevin, stand by.
Kevin. She was in her house. She was in the yard, and they wanted her to go inside. And she said, "But I am within my family's surrounding." And the police guy said, "No, you have to go inside."
Kevin, hold on one second. I don't want to go too far away from the main subject because we're going to get lost in so much narrative, right? I want us to focus on what, the topic here. I want to go ahead and play another portion of Vannie Curwen's interview because it's long. and we'll stop it at a certain juncture again. But let's see if we could keep the comments kind of brief because it's a kind of long interview. So let's get the next part 2 of Vannie Curwen interview. Check this out.
That is still being investigated.
Just to bring it up to speed for the folks that's watching it for the first time, there is one version of the story. I don't know if you care to speak on to debunk that story or add a version to the story. I'm not sure, but the story was that he was on the side. That was news reports that he was on his block, whatever, smoking a blunt. He was approached by police, and he ran away, and he was somehow shot from the back.
What he told me, he was smoking a spliff right in his yard. And the police come up and try to run away from the police. The police didn't see him, but eventually the police also saw him and maybe running down. He fell on the back of the house there because the other gentleman called me yesterday and showed me where he fell on, where they shoot him on the ground there.
That was one version of the story that is out there. That's one version of the story that the father told to the news agency there in Grenada. Are you able to speak to that or debunk or say if this part of the story is true or not?
Junior, what I don't want to do is prejudice the investigation. I can tell you definitively the father was not present. By all who have been there and all of what we have gathered so far, there are only few people who know exactly what happened. And I do not want to prejudice the outcome of this matter. I will wait until all of the evidence are in. I will wait until the Director of Public Prosecution give a definitive ruling on this matter before I say anything as it relates to the evidential aspect of the incident.
Let's talk about police relation because I grew up in Grenada, and for so many years of my growing up in Grenada, I always felt like the police was a part of the people or the people of my community. There was a huge strength of community policing. But we've seen in this past few months there have been 2 reports of police shooting. What is being done to foster better police-community relation, especially in this particular time?
But Junior, we have a number of programs that we work with. We work with a lot of community groups. We work with schools. We have schools liaison officers. We have police officers assigned to every school on the island. We do have police officers from community relations department and other stations that work with other stakeholders in the community. I think what has happened, and you're right, what we are seeing is not something that has been there. It's something that out of the blue, with the Black Lives Matter movement in the United States, we start seeing a lot of that trickling down to our Caribbean region. And we've seen the call for justice, justice, justice. But I ask the question all the time, Junior, what is justice? Justice is not an outcome in the police favor. Justice is not an outcome in the favor of a victim. Justice is the fair outcome of an incident. And to be able to get to that point, you have to give every incident an opportunity to be thoroughly investigated and have an independent body as the Director of Public Prosecution's Office make a determination on the outcome of an event. Now, you may or may not like the result. You may or may not like the outcome. But if the outcome is based on fairness, then that is justice. And to answer your question, we are doing quite a lot. In fact, we have only this morning released a newsletter, which is a new initiative to be able to let the population that we serve know what is happening inside of the police force, inviting comments and criticism. The Community Relations Department office is open to the public. Whoever thinks that they have a concern, whoever thinks that police officers are out of the line, we invite the public to come in. Because we cannot police Grenada with 1,100 of us. We have to police Grenada with 110,000 of us. It's all of us business to ensure that Grenada remains safe and peaceful as it has been and will continue to be.
You spoke earlier about the reasonable force, blunt force, and I want to get an idea as to what's in the police belt as an accessory that they could use other than a firearm.
The camera is facing here.
Force less than that firearm to stun someone. What else is there for them to use?
Right, that's a very interesting question. Because if you look at the police officer in the United States, when you look at his belt, you might see 6, 8, and 10 different objects, equipment that he or she can use. Unfortunately for us, we are not a country that are that rich in resources, and so we do not have all of the items that you would see in foreign forces. But we do have the mace, and most police officers are issue standard mace. And Outside of the mace, we have our baton, or what we usually call in local parlance our chonchon, which is the piece of stick, the piece of wood. We have that. Outside of those, there are not very much more that we have. So while we may want to talk about graduated force, we do not have the option of having graduated force, meaning you start with a voice, and we do that. We would start with a voice, and then perhaps you move to the mace. We do have mace, and then perhaps you move to other objects that we don't have. You see, when you look at the developed countries, you see they have tasers, they have other equipment that they can use. We do not have that. So we have to use what is available to us. Notwithstanding the fact that we do not have a lot of these equipment, that does not give us the right to pull the firearm for every incident and on every occasion. We have to wait until the threat reach the level for the firearm before we can reach for the firearm. So if it means that the threat doesn't reach the level of the firearm, we have to find creative means and creative ways of diffusing a situation by enlisting help by members of the public, enlisting help from other police officers. It may mean walking away from the scene because it does not graduate it yet to the point of the firearm. So because we have the firearm does not mean it's going to be the firearm at the first onset or at the onset. We have to wait until the threat reaches there before the firearm becomes an issue.
We're still on the topic of the son shooting. Could you tell us if there were the use of mace or any other preliminary equipment before the firearm was pulled in this particular incident?
And again, Jerry, Junior, sorry, I wouldn't want to mention, as I said, I do not want to prejudice the investigation. I am not one to talk out of turn, to put information out there before those information are confirmed. Because at the end of the day, we do not want to try these matters in the public. We do not want to sensationalize these issues. We want these issues to be thoroughly investigated and all of the facts are gathered, understood, analyzed, and then be able to be reported on.
Answering the question as to if you use preliminary action before the firearm, I mean, I'm not sure how that sensationalized the question of if there were graduated force used. I mean, I guess it's a yes or no. Did he use it or did he not use it?
I would prefer to say to you, Mr. George, in a week or two time, in a week, I'll be able to give you all of the evidence that becomes available, because by then I am sure that the Director of Public Prosecution will rule on the matter. And once he has done so, the information becomes public, and I will be free to speak about it publicly. But while an investigation is ongoing, it will be unethical and unprofessional of me to speak of any aspect of the evidential nature of that investigation.
All right, point taken. Let's move on to the incident, very sad incident on Friday at last. We heard it, and I think it's such a dark day. It was such a dark day to learn of what happened. The said father, who were on the news speaking so passionately about the situation, was shot after reports were that he stabbed 2 police officers. What could you tell us about this particular incident, sir?
Well, I can confirm that there was a stabbing and there were shots fired, and there was a gentleman who succumbed to the injuries of being shot. It's really unfortunate because just about a week before that, I have had the good fortune of meeting Mr. Rich. In fact, we reached out to his family after the shooting of his son. I personally led a team of police officers who met the family, expressing our profound sadness for what has happened. And we realized that some damages were done, were right or wrong. We expect that there's going to be some hard feelings. And I think it was our duty and responsibility to reach out to close that gap, to give assurances that an investigation is going to be hard in the matter. All of the evidence will be gathered, and at the end of the day, a determination will be made. And so I met with the gentleman for more than an hour and a half. We had a very profound conversation. We did not only speak of the incident, but we spoke of other issues, of injuries that he was sharing with me about his life, his family, his fishing career. And, I thought we were somewhere in, rebuilding what has been damaged in terms of the shooting. And, it beats me when I heard that he was involved in the stabbing and ultimately he was shot. And so we've extended our profoundest condolences to the family. It was indeed, as you indicated, a very dark day, a very sad day. No one needed to lose their lives that way, but it happens. I feel it for the family, and I continue to express on behalf of the RGPF our profound sympathy. I know in this time of grieving, in this difficult time for them, It's going to be hard. And so as an organization, we have reached out to them. We continue to reach out to them. In fact, in a few hours' time, a delegation led by the Commissioner of Police will be visiting the family so that we can, not only say what we say now, but we can actually put action to the words that we are expressing in terms of our sadness for what has happened. It's indeed already that day. And having just gotten to know Mr. Regis, I personally feel sad to know that he has lost his life, the manner in which it happened.
The 2 police officers that was stabbed, what is the current situation medically?
Well, let me say up front, one of the police officers was male, is male, and the other is a female. The male police officer has since been released from the general hospital, but he has to be going for outpatient care. So he continued to receive treatment even if he has been released from the hospital. The female police officer is still warded. She is what we can consider to be serious but stable condition. She is doing well. We continue to pray for her full and complete recovery, and we're hoping that in a matter of days, she will be able to be released, but her treatment will continue long after she's released from the hospital. She too will be required to have outpatient care as she continues to work her way to full recovery after this incident.
Could you confirm or tell us if there were any graduated force used in this particular shooting incident, sir?
Not that I know of. That one I can answer. Not that I know of. Because the incident all unfolded in a short period of time, and that's as much as I would want to say in terms of the evidence. And so what has happened the way it has been reported.
So you're able to confirm this one, but you're not able to confirm the previous one?
If you notice, all I said is that I don't think that there were any graduated force. I didn't say, what happened in between. But obviously there are some things that happened that did not make the firearm the first issue, which I cannot and should not speak about. Because where that incident initially started, Junior, and where that incident ended, it's 2 separate locations. And that says us something.
Okay.
In answer to your question, that says something.
Give us the trajectory of where it started to where it ended, and what does it really say?
Well, I don't think I want to say what it says, but what I would say is that it started on Markton Street, just outside the library, the old library, and the incident actually ended somewhere on Young Street. So it was a moving incident. It was just not a one-off incident. It was a moving incident that graduated to what it has become. And as I indicated, it's very sad that anybody had to lose their life, anybody had to be stabbed, or any injury had to be inflicted on anyone on that day. But this was just one of those days.
All right, we have more, but we're going to stop it right there. A lot that was said there. One of the things that that caught my attention, I don't know if you guys saw it, is that he mentioned that there were no graduated force, because in the belt that I was talking about in New York, there are multiple layers of ways. There are the taser, they are the spray, but many different ones. And he could not say if that preliminary method was used in the case of his son, but he could confirm that it was used, were not used in the case of the father. Does that say anything to you, Joel?
Yeah, I actually listened to that. I mean, he was able to say definitively that in the second incident it was not used, but in the first incident he cannot have speak to that. And it only leaves one to suggest that that there's a lot hidden, and hopefully, as you said, as the investigation unfold, I do hope that all these things will come to light, and that the family will definitely get justice. I mean, as I said, it's unfortunate, and I don't want to paint all police officers with the same brush, right? Because I can tell you, I know there are a lot of really professional officers. There are a lot of officers who execute their duties to the highest level of standards as a police officer, right? So I would just want to make that very clear. But there are instances where there are situations that have really escalated in some cases to a fatal level that should never have happened had the police used the level of emotional and social intelligence in really diffusing a situation. I don't think the use of a firearm or lethal force is always the first option. I think you can approach a scene of a situation and through tact and diplomacy and communication and really really having some sort of dialogue and some sort of engagement could easily resolve an issue. Mr. Curwen can agree that when he came to Guelph after the shooting of the young man and there was a huge protest and people was burning things in the street, and the way he came to the situation, and he didn't come with a firearm. He came with an open heart, an open mind, an open spirit, and he came with a genuine understanding as to how the people were feeling. He showed empathy, and he was able to diffuse a situation that could have potentially end up really bad for the RGPF or for the community of Guelph. You understand, the tongue of Guelph. So it's not always about force or about aggression. As you said, the police has a social contract to serve and protect the people, and it's the reason you need to forge a strong sort of relationship with the public and the community, because we are all in this together. We all want to maintain a very peaceful country. We all want to be a law-abiding country. But when these incidents continue to happen and some police use that power that has been granted to them to really take advantage of situations, these are the situations that do happen. Because based on that incident that happened, I don't think all police officers would have reacted the same way that police who pulled his firearm and shot that young man. I don't think most police officers would have reacted that way. But it also goes back to show the level of training. The officers that are properly trained, I've met some of these officers who are well trained. They have traveled different parts of the world. They have done many different courses. And you see the way they handle a situation opposed to officers who have not been properly trained. So that means that there might be an issue there, that the training time, or maybe the whole training procedure, training manual need to be revisited. And before officers can be issued a firearm, they must go through an extensive period of training, or before they can have that sort of engagement with the public, they must have a level of extensive training. I think 6 months in itself is not sufficient. I also listened to Mr. Curwen spoke about the police does the investigation and then submitted the findings to the DPP to make a determination as to whether there's sufficient evidence to lay a charge, right? But just think about it. The police doing the investigation, it still presents a level of bias in that situation. I don't think a fair assessment, a fair investigation, or in my opinion, a thorough investigation that will implicate that police officer would normally happen. Because in the last 10 years, have you heard any cases where police was really charged for any instance of police brutality or violating the rights of citizens in any way? I've not heard any at all. So you're telling me all these incidents was in the police officer favor, that there are no incident where the police use excessive force? I've listened to some of those incidents. I've listened to some of the accounts of some of these people who have been there in some of those incidents. And just listening to that incident of that shooting in Fountainoil, I think that is a clear cut. That's excessive force.
Right. What I was saying, that he did say that the RGPF being the only investigative body there that handles that, that's why they do the investigation and they pass it on to the DCP. Johnny, were you or any family member received or currently receiving any complaint from the RGPF or any one of the bodies in Grenada?
Well, nobody told me anything, so I don't know about that portion, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't really know about that portion. Okay? But,
Okay.
I hear him speak, right?
Right.
I listen to what he say, right? So he's saying, right, they never get a chance to speak to my brother in the hospital. That's what he say? Innit? To find out what really happened.
Yeah, he said he just got out of the hospital sometime today to get
But
his side of the story.
Junior, them man went in the hospital with a portion of marijuana in a bag. with a paper for the man to sign, right? Why they didn't go and find out what happened? Why they want to bring the weed on the man? Why is the weed they bringing on the man? Eh? Tell me. I mean, I know you're Grenadians listening to this, eh? You're good police. I know you're good police. I know you're good police. I mean, I've been to GBSS. I've been to school with enough of them fellas that in that police force right now. You check? You enough police living in point that I know is good police. You know, guys. So, I mean, what he's saying, they didn't get no information from here to find out what really going on or what. I mean, that don't make no sense. The man in the hospital Wednesday. They shoot him on Wednesday, right? They killed my father Friday. They killed my father. That the same day they let out the man out of the hospital, right? Because my father went and checked the man in the hospital that same Friday. So what you're trying to tell me, Junior? Wednesday to Friday, you can't find out nothing. Where the police and them, where the station be? Junior, you're a Grenadian, right? After Ivan, they move CID from where? From the hill going up by the post office because Ivan mash up CID. And they bring it down opposite side of by right. Foodland. Okay? They ain't had to take no train, no plane, no boat, no ferry to go and see the hospital. It's walking distance. So what are you trying to tell me? It's walking distance. Everybody know tongue. Who don't know tongue? Everybody know tongue. So from CID to the hospital is how much minutes walk? You walk up kind of chill, you walk up so. Or if you want to talk, you bend the next side, you go up the steps, and you reach it. You taking your day, you even taking your 10 minutes to walk from tongue to the hospital. So what he saying? What he really saying? They shoot an unarmed man that on the ground. And he's saying he can't say nothing. He come to kill my brother. And he just he happened to shift that he bullet hit him in his shoulder. A man on the ground is trying to tell me, threaten running from you and fall on the ground and damage two of your ribs.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Johnny, what was the mind frame of your father? You said that he went to visit your brother the same day. By speaking with your family members, by speaking to Chris,
Well,
what
the
was the
same how he don't want this Junior, the same how we don't want to share the information that he know, I wouldn't share it. You know that? Because he too biased. He too biased. Come and tell the people, come and tell me what you know. And you know they run down the man and they shoot the man and the man didn't know weed. And they shoot the man for nothing. Because they ain't get nothing on him. Come and tell the people that. Or they don't want to tell the people that. You know, Junior, I'm sorry for them two police officers that get stabbed. You know. Me like to tell nobody out the road and out of the internet and whoever listening to this. You know. This didn't have to reach there, you know. All the man wanted was just a little right. I just hear a little something. Just tell the man something. The man want to know something so he can have easy mind. That's all the man really wanted.
Yeah.
That didn't have to escalate. That didn't have to escalate and reach all day. He didn't have to reach all day, Junior. He didn't have to reach all day. You see what make the man real pissed? Is where they shoot the man for nothing? Junior, where is that joint? Eh? Where is that split? A man running from you. You throw his split and you running from you. Eh? And you want to come and talk about this. That's just a one-sided. You check? And I hear Keith Mitchell was supposed to go home and check my father and check my mother, and he never did right.
Yeah.
You know that?
Kevin,
The man is sick, man.
Kevin, jump in here real quick because I wanted to play the second part or the third part of Vannie Curwen interview. Um, a little feedback from somebody's background. Um, Kevin, what could you tell us about after speaking to all the family members? What could you tell us about the mindset of Mr. Regis after he left the hospital and headed to St. George's after he met with his son?
So Junior, so I actually talked to one of my sister who is very she's into whatever happens in Fontenoy. I used to always tell she like she's like the politician for Fontenoy. And the minute time that happened, my mom called me. She said, we have a death in Fontenoy. And she said, it's Mr. Trevor. And I called my sister. And my sister was telling me, she spoke to, one of Danny's sister, Rhonda. And Rhonda told her, what, she and the dad had just came from the hospital to see, Chris. And, she left the dad and she took the bus and was going back to Fontenoy. And by the time, she get back to Fontenoy, then she hear, the dad was shot by police. And as I said, my background is mental health. And I mean, I don't have to be there to tell you that, this is what happens. If like Danny said, if Chris was shot unarmed on the ground, okay, the dad gave, a heartfelt plea, to the authorities, the prime minister, the chief of police, everybody, please just give me some answers. Let me know what's going on, right? Nobody. Keith Mitchell, publicly said the Sunday before, at a soccer game in Grand Mall that, he's going to visit the family. He never showed up, right? Fontenoy is part of the Northwest Territory. That's part of Keith Mitchell's constituency. Everybody in Fontenoy vote NNP, right? So we expect, when something happens, especially when, there's something involving the law enforcement, which, in my opinion, as someone who studied police science, it is excessive use of force. I don't care what Vannie said. That is excessive use of force, okay? Because the guy had posed no threat to the police. He was already on the ground, okay? So all he could have done was just to pick him up and arrest him. If he wanted to arrest him, you didn't have to shoot him, okay? But Kim Mitchell never showed up. So the dad went to see the son, saw the state that the son is in. I'm a dad myself. I probably would have reacted the same way. And you know what? As I said, out of a normal mindset, he didn't leave Fontenoy, go to town with the intention that if I see a police, I'm going to just start attacking police officers. Because of him seeing his son, okay, the state he saw the son in, that triggered, okay, an immediate mental attack, right? And mental illness doesn't have to be, somebody eating from a garbage bin or, somebody, picking up stuff from the drain, okay? Depression is mental health. Okay, so that could have spiraled immediate depression where he go in and some random police officer is passing and he saw it as well, you guys are responsible for the state my son is in, so he attacked, right? But what I'm saying in terms of excessive use of force, no, it is actually, and I don't know if Vannie will even say that. And I know Danny mentioned a lot of stuff that the police is hiding, but it is actually circulated in Grenada and has been from the day Mr. Regis was actually shot and killed by police, that the officer that was actually responsible for that actual shooting had actually had other incidents of aggressive and excessive use of force.
Yeah, but
officer,
we don't know that, and we can't confirm that at the moment.
Well, but Junior, even if we don't want to confirm it, Joel made a valuable point there. Okay, now if Mr. Regis was running around, and I know Greg Vannie talk a pile of garbage about it started at point A and ended up at point Z, but between point A and Z there are other letters of the alphabet. What happened at every stage of that every point before it got to Z? Okay, now. He wasn't attacking other police officers after the second attack, okay? So there was no need to pull out a firearm and use, okay? And as I said, if they want, I will buy my own plane ticket. I will go back to Grenada and I will take up a course, a training course in de-escalation tactics. Okay, when addressing people in mental distress in the police force free of charge. I'm a Grenadian citizen.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
Yeah, yeah. All right. I want to play the last portion of that interview and then get you guys' feedback on it. Check this out. This is the final part of the lengthy interview with Mr. Curwen. Check it out. You say that the manner in which Mr. Regis found or was accused allegedly of stabbing this individual were targeted. Did he target his people specifically because of a particular reason, or was it random?
I think that is what our investigation is seeking to find out. At this point, I don't think anybody knows what has caused that. I don't think anybody knows what his mental state was. I don't think anybody knows what the modus operandi behind all of that is. And that is what an investigation will seek to do. An investigation will seek to find out, was this a random attack? Was this a targeted attack? Was there premeditation? We don't know that yet. And that is what we're working to confirm. So until then, we just have to accept it for what it is, without me attaching any of my personal feeling to it. We do not know, and we're seeking to find out.
I want you to talk to the audience here, because at the same time, I want to create an educational platform where people could learn from this going forward. Talk to us a little bit about what we all could learn from this previous situation.
Well, number one, the first thing that I would want to say is that no form of violence should be tolerated, whether it's from the police or against the police. We are living in a community that we are very small. We all know each other, and we need to settle our disputes and our differences in amicable ways. There is no need for any of us to resort to violence of any sort. And that goes for police officers as well. All right? What I think should happen here, Junior, that there needs to be more dialogue. There needs to be more conversation. I have heard a number of persons have been saying since the Guav shooting that they have not been getting justice from the police. And I challenge any of these persons to come sit across my desk and say to me which of these matters that you felt the police did not adequately or sufficiently deal with or dealt with. There have been some issues of the past that I've heard a lot about. There are people who are bit, but by and large, in this modern era, in this dispensation, we do everything possible to ensure that we bring comfort and satisfaction to the people that we serve. Staying out in social media and getting on those platforms and saying all what I have seen people saying, that's not helping. That's not helping the narrative. You are Grenadians. I am Grenadian. This is Grenada. Let us cumulatively come together to build a better Grenada. We cannot police the nation by just the police force. We need to police the nation by the citizens of the country. And so if you have information that police officers are doing wrong, that police officers are involved in untoward things, feel free, come in, have a conversation. Now these days, you do not even have to come to see me face to face. We have a hotline 444-1958. You can call in your tips and remain anonymous, but provide the information that will help us weed out among us the police officers that are bringing the organization into disrepute, bringing the shame and disgrace to the country as a whole, but we all must participate in that process. I mean, we have been talking about justice in Grenada in a number of instances. Be it the for Judy issue, be it the Guam issue, we've been hearing justice. Some of the people who are out in social media calling for justice, who are claiming that they know what happened and have seen what happened, they're not approaching the police. They're not coming to us. And when we reach out to some of these people, they have nothing to say. But they're out in social media, giving their opinion, sensitizing the public, creating civil dispute and civil unrest. If you care about this country, what you need to do, come and say, I have been there. This is what I've seen. This is what I've heard. This is what I know. Give us an opportunity to thoroughly investigate. And when we do that, if nothing happens, then here is your license to say, well, the police force really is not serving the interests of the Grenadian population. But unless and until you do your civic duty, do not criticize and condemn when you have information that you're not prepared to come forward with. Then we can only act on what we have.
And if you could just reiterate the last thing here on the policy regarding the use of force. If you could just reiterate on that.
Yeah, and I think it's important because I cannot say this too much. Our criminal code and criminal procedure code gives the police the right to use force in the execution of our duty. The force must commensurate or be equal to the threat that we face. So if I arrest an individual and he is resisting my arrest, the law gives me the authority to use sufficient force to subdue that individual. That force might be, I may perhaps have to put him down on the ground. I may have to use my truncheon if that is what is required, but the force must be equal to the threat so that I can subdue that individual to maintain control of the situation. Force ought to be graduated. If you come at me with a pencil, there is no need for me to use a firearm. If you come at me with a firearm, well, deadly force will meet deadly force. If you overpower me, then I have no other choice. I don't have to think about, do I have a mace? Do I have a truncheon? If I'm overpowered and I become fearful for my life, or my life is now put in a position where I believe I'm going to lose it, then the law will understand me reaching for that firearm. So a lot of what we consider to be police brutality is not police brutality. The citizens have to understand that the law gives the police officer the right to use force that is reasonable to repel an attack or to execute the duty in a manner. It becomes police brutality when that force becomes excessive. So if I arrest you and you're cooperating with me, there is no need for me to be physical with you. There is no need for me to miss you. There is no need for me to beat you with a truncheon. There is no need for me to put you down on the ground because you are cooperating. When you start resisting me, the law says use the force that is now necessary to be able to take you from point A to point B. So if you are refusing to go, Junior, and I have to drag you, if that is the force that is necessary for me to get you from point A to point B, then that is justified under the law. And I think I want the population to understand that. And this is not Vannie Curwen's idea of the law. It is there for anybody to go read, see what it says. The law gives you right to use force in several situations and circumstances. It talks about you in your house and you have any do that. You know, midnight in the night, you climb in my window, Junior. Should I stop and say, hey, excuse me, who are you and what is your name and where do you come from? I don't know what you're carrying. I don't even know who you are. So I will reach for my firearm because I would say, I don't know who this intruder is, and I become fearful for my life and that of my family. And I think we have to be reasonable here. Not because a police officer is involved. That doesn't give one the reason to find all the negatives to say without understanding the facts, the circumstances, and the law.
And I guess the public, the population would really want to know about the reassurance that they could, or the assurance that they could get that this investigation would be transparent. What reassurance could you give the public on that?
Well, I am now in charge of the department that one is not under our purview. That one is under the Criminal Investigations Department. But I continue to give the assurance to the public that all of the investigations that we do is transparent. There will be no partiality. And as I indicated, when that file is submitted to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, he is entitled to redirect anything that he wants to redirect on. He has the right to decide what statement is sufficient, what is not sufficient, what he thinks we should do, where he thinks we should go. He needs to be satisfied and getting the full story. And if he doesn't think that he has that, he has a right to direct that. And we have been doing as best we can in terms of ensuring transparency, in terms of ensuring fairness, and in terms of ensuring that the citizens receive the justice that they so deserve at the hands of police officers. This is not a police state. This is not a state where the police run amok. This is not a state where the police can just go abusing citizens without checks and balances. There are checks and balances. But sometimes to be able to punish police officers and discipline police officers, we need the population to come forward. We need people who see and hear and know to come forward. But a lot of people have preferred to stay on social media and air their voices rather than coming forward and providing the evidence and the information that is needed so that we can discipline those in our ranks that are not adhering to the esprit of the organization.
So the word is to get it out there, report situations where there. So generally on the rap, he was saying that folks should report those incidents. Joel, I want you to talk briefly on some of the things that I was said, especially as it relates to reporting. Is the population reporting because they don't want to report or because of fear of what might happen if they do report incident as it relates to the police? Why are they not reporting?
Yeah. So, for example, I remember engaging someone not too long ago, where they actually reported some incidents relating to police, um, the way they were treated by the police, and they actually visited the community relation department. They visited a next one of the local police stations, and that individual said, as a result of them reporting it, um, the officers, that person said they were not targeted. So that, let's say they drive in their vehicle, right? They would be stopped by the police. They became a target in a sense, because of the fact that they would have reported an incident in which they were treated a particular way by a police. So, I mean, there are a lot of reasons why people don't report it. One, not getting the necessary, seeing situations where people report those sort of incidents and did not get any sort of satisfaction or justice come out of it. Two, the fact that when they do report, they have repercussions in the sense that they are targeted, they become a subject of police harassment thereafter. And three, just a matter of fear. I mean, I can tell you that it's not easy speaking out on issues relating to the police. I mean, once you do that, you become a target. So there's a level of fear from a lot of people in terms of speaking out or even reporting. I mean, I had a situation a few years ago, where my constitutional rights was violated by a police officer. Matter of fact, two police officers. And I actually went to the community relation department. I reported it. I got a hearing, and what I gave was just a mere apology, and that was it. You understand? So at the end of the day, you know, does it really make any sense? I mean, some persons may take the legal route to get justice. Some people, they report it, and even after you report it, what you got, what are normally the outcomes? What sort of discipline actions is taken against those police officers? In some cases, the police just said, "I'm sorry," and that's it, and I just leave and I go, and that's all. Just a waste of your time, because even thereafter, you don't hear any incident. Okay, that police was disciplined, or there was actions taken against that police officer. All I was, the police was told to just tell me sorry, and that's all he did, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't want to be insensitive to the two officers that were stabbed. I don't want to be insensitive to them because they also have families, right? They
Exactly,
also go
definitely.
pain, and some of the families probably watching it right now, and they say, well, okay, well,
Yes,
my family member life is important as well. One of
of
the
course.
female officer is I believe still in the hospital. So we do empathize with the families that are going through. It's just a sad moment all around. For this to happen in Grenada, some might say it might be the last place they would think of something like that would happen. And it just I think it takes away from that community policing that we always were so proud of, where we know that the police is our friend, the police is our neighbors. It's not like in the US, you might see a police and you don't know where the police is from, or you have no, my mic is sounding crazy, but you don't know if where the police is from, or if the police is a supporter, or of some white supremacist. It doesn't have that in Grenada. So I would love to see that day where we can have back that community policing, and people are not scared of the police. People respect the
Yeah, and
police. The police also respect the civilians, the people that are supposed to serve and
yeah, and
protect.
that's how it is, because as I said, we are living in small close knit families, and in some cases, everyone know each other, right? And I mean, you want a situation where people have the level of trust and confidence in the police that they are there to serve. And I always say, without civilians, without the public, the police job become very difficult. Sometimes when people speak out on the issues of police brutality, of police violating the rights of citizens, it's not a matter of you not liking the police or you're anti-police. It's just that you want to see a better society where we all can coexist together, that we can maintain that level of mutual respect and understanding. The police is not above us, and we are not above the police. We are all equal. And I think once some police officers put on that uniform, they believe that they become superior to the other citizens. And I think that's where the major problem lies.
Yeah, yeah. Donnie, I know that your family right now is going through a whole lot. I know
Yeah.
that you guys are going through a lot. what is the next step in terms of moving forward as a family? What is the next step for you guys?
I really hear. I ain't want to say no.
No, I just say I know you guys are going through a lot.
Break it up.
Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me at all? One, two.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, hold on. Before you answer that question, let's take a quick caller. Caller, you live. Where you calling us from?
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, good
I'm
evening.
calling from Grenada.
Go right ahead, caller.
Now, I just want to make one quick point. I'm not here to bash anyone, but I'm listening to your program and I listened to the interview with with Vannie Curwen, and I just believe that they, they need to be clear with the information they're giving. Now, if he says that um, you can use gradual force and it might be accepted, but in the case of the young man, he was running away, fell to the ground and be shot. And I think if they're open enough to say, look, that's what happened, that's wrong so far, I think people will be easier than try to always sound like they're covering up something. That is that, that is my comment on this. I think with that kind of attitude, you can aggravate people, and it would seem like the police is always hiding something. Um, and that's my comment.
All right, thank you, caller. Thank you, caller. And if you guys want to participate in this part of the program, we open up the phone lines. You can call the number on the screen is 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. Um, Donnie, I was asking, what's next? What's next for the family? And I know you guys are not really looking forward to well, the obvious next step, going through the burial process. Um, just what's happening now with the family? Donnie, could you hear me? Unmute
It's,
yourself, Donnie. Unmute yourself. Sorry. Go
it's for
ahead.
the rest of my life without him. Aye?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Donnie. I didn't hear you. All right. Well, we have Donnie having some audio-visual problem. Um, uh, Kevin, speak to us briefly because you're
You're
very
breaking up
close
a
to the.
bit.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to
Yeah.
Donnie. Go ahead. Go ahead, Donnie.
Uh,
Go ahead. Go ahead. What does the family
yeah, yeah,
say?
what I was saying, I mean, well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the burial coming up. Yeah, the burial recently. Yeah. Well, we go see what we can get out of but yeah, no, we gotta fight. Yeah, we gotta fight for it because I mean, I know they don't really want to give up nothing because if you see how them are moving, them are covering up something. Which, I mean, you got the two police that get damaged there. I mean, I feel it for them. Them got family just the same way. But why I say they didn't have to reach all day to where people have
Right.
to get damaged, right? So it reached that point where people get damaged, police get damaged. So now we have other families now feeling pain because their family get damaged. My father did. He damaged people's family. And then you just have everything just there. I mean, do something, man. The man know what you have to do.
Yeah.
Stop covering up the thing. You know,
All right.
guys? Yeah, the man they have to stop.
All right. Let's jump to the phone line. We got a call on the line. Caller, live. Where you calling us from?
I'm calling from New York.
Go right ahead, caller.
Yeah, I mean, it is pain to see that we cannot continue to have policing police. And I'm calling on Mr. Vannie Curwen and the rank and file of especially Commissioner. I know personally, I hope that he would take the time out to get private investigators into Grenada to investigate this instance because this is going to continue and it's going to go very far. For a long time, I've been looking at your program and I've been looking at the different programs with the police and the government with the police with the mask and the COVID thing. And they are really taking advantage of people. Police should be educating persons because if they get a job based on merit of education as well. There are certain people who are not well off because of their education. They should take the time off to educate persons, to distribute masses, what we are doing in New York. All right, and not taking advantage of persons. They use the police, they hide behind the police, and some of them are just criminals hiding behind the police, the mask of the police, so they need to be unmasked. And I hope that this investigation is done speedily and is done with a level of transparency. Just as how the public is talking on social media, the police come and come and speak to the people. Let us know what's going on. Explain it in layman's terms. Let everyone understand. If we don't have an understanding, then you would have a high level of ignorance and things are going to escalate out of proportion. We just need transparency and fairness in this thing here. I'm sorry about the loss, Danny. My prayers go out to your family.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much, caller.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
You know, this is such a dark day, and I don't have the answers. I don't know who have the answers. In fact, I don't know where the answers could be found, and I just hope that more could have been ventilated. I hope that more understanding could be reached, because we don't want a situation where people start to fight police fighting back against people. That is not what we want. Some common sense have to prevail. Somebody, some big person, somebody. I don't know. I don't have the answers to this, and I ain't even gonna act like if I do have the answers. I am freaking lost in terms of finding out where we go from here. So I don't know if you guys have some advice. I'm sure that the ranking files of the Royal Grenada Police Force are watching. I'm sure that people from all over the world are watching and interested and want to have an input. I'll start with Joel and then I'll go to Kevin. Caller, I'll go to Joel and then Kevin. But let's take this caller first. Caller, you're live. Where you calling us from?
Somebody, I don't know.
Caller, could you please load on your background audio, please? Could you load on your background audio? I'm getting a feedback.
Sorry, Junior, I got it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, go
Can
ahead.
you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you. I hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to give my condolences to the family, and also wish the young man a speedy recovery, and also the two officers. I wish a speedy recovery and their family also. And Junior, let me say this: I want to say that I support, I've always have, and I support all our law enforcement officers across the United States and in Grenada. And as a matter of fact, wherever I travel to, I support the law enforcement officers. With that said, I'm not condoning what happened. And again, I am not going to speak a lot of it. I don't know what happened. So really my advice of what I want to say to people is let cool heads prevail. We understand that grieving families here. And we can tell from the grieving about the ones that are sad situation all the way around. But I also think that we should give the RGPF and their investigative team a chance to do the right thing, which is to investigate what happened. And if there has to be people held responsible, or if something went wrong, let the public know and correct it and bring some form of justice to the family. I think that our emotion is kind of running away with us. And I don't think it's a good time for that, even though we understand that the family is grieving. And we do grieve with the family because it's really a sad situation. But it's also sad all the way around for the officers that are involved in the shooting and the ones that are hurt and their families. So I think, Junior George, I think we have to let cool head prevail and let us take it and allow the leading team to do their job and see what the outcome is, and then we can react if there needs to be a different type of reaction. Okay, Junior?
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, caller. We're gonna take one more call, and then, in fact, Joel, we'll go to you, and then we take the call. What
Yeah.
what needs to be done from here?
Well, Junior, first and foremost, we must identify the root cause of all those incidents relating to police brutality, unjustified or justified police shooting, right? We must identify the root cause and what we need to basically do. And I think when those incidents happen, once families feel that justice has been served, whether it goes in their favor or not, once they felt that it's transparent, it was a fair process. I think family would be able to live with it in a better way. So I think one of my suggestions is that we need to have an independent investigative bureau or independent investigative agency to deal with police related incidents or complaints relating to police. Right, I think it's very important that we move in a direction. I think that will lend to a greater level of confidence in the people and in the process, you understand, of administering justice in that regards, whether or not it goes in their favor or not, right? They will be able to live with it knowing that it was an independent arm or an independent agency that did the investigation, right? Secondly, I think training is essentially important in policing. I think 6 months, in my opinion, is not enough. As I said, I have looked at countries that have an extended period of training, some cases for a year, some for 2 years, and it is proven that the longer police officers are trained, there is lower level or lower incidence of police brutality and unjustified police shooting. So I think that is something the RGP needs to revisit. Also, in terms of the policing policy or procedures and how, as you said, use of force. I mean, Mr. Vannie Curwen was very clear in terms of what the law gives police officers the ability to use force in particular incidents, right, and instances. So I think some police officers need to be properly trained in terms of the procedures and in terms of the use of force policy, right? Because based on that incident that happened in Fontenoy, it is very clear from all accounts that that situation could have been dealt with differently. And I think had that police officer been properly trained, he would have de-escalated that situation. And if it means that an arrest had to be made, if the guy committed some sort of offense, I think it could have been dealt with differently, and all that has happened now would not have actually happened. We would not have been having this conversation. So, I mean, again, I also want to express my pain and sadness to the police officers innocently who was stabbed. I mean, that should not have happened, and you all are in my prayers. And it's just an unfortunate situation that the family has to deal with. Donnie and his family members has to deal with the loss of their dad, as a result of these incidents. But I think it's a lot of lessons that can be learned from this from the RGPF end and also from the community end. How can we work together collectively to solve this problem? Because at the end of the day, we are all someone's children, someone's brother, someone's sister, and it must not be a situation where people feel that if they're not getting justice and therefore they decide to take justice in their own hands, right? So, and also we need to ensure that there's a strong support system for family members when these sort of incidents happen. I think had Mr. Regis received the sort of emotional or psychosocial support, I think that incident would not have escalated to that level where he decided or where he would have slipped into a depression. I don't know if he did, but I don't think he did that out of a normal mindset. That's just my opinion.
All right, a point we're taking there, Joel. We have a caller on the line. Caller, go right ahead. You've been waiting a little while. Go right ahead, caller.
Hello, good night.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, good night, caller. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I'm calling from Guinea. This is a very sad situation. Sorry. And I would like to address Mr. Cohen. There are a lot of issues within the force, because a lot of officers come in very young, very mature, and we put them in different departments. Some of them are so arrogant. You can't just have a conversation with them. They will stop you, and the way in which they speak to you, trying to talk to them, they're arrogant, and they will just give you a ticket without listening. These officers and them need proper training before they go to the street. A lot of things could be avoided if they were just learn to listen and know how to communicate with people. If they don't do that, we would not cooperate with them. And that's why you see a lot of incidents happening. You know, also in connection with the investigation. Things happen, the shooting in Guava up to now. I'm not hearing anything about it. We just sometimes they say it's we investigating it, but sometimes it takes years and it just falls through the cracks. Nothing happens. Family suffering and it just go like that. And we see the officers that just move them from one department to another. It's really sad. Another thing, not all officers should get guns. Why are we giving all the officers guns? I see officers today walking with guns, gun with them. All of them don't have to be walking with guns. And I think because they are given too much freedom, they think they could do what they want. And the incident on Friday, why? And it's still bothering me. Why 4 bullets in that man's chest? Why 4? Why not 1? Why couldn't you shoot him in his foot? Why couldn't you shoot him in his arm? Why couldn't you use the leg? Why 4? So to me, my understanding that was intentional. Because if you don't intend to kill somebody, you wouldn't give them 4 bullets. 1 bullet would be enough, and probably he would have been alive too. But 4, and I think that officer needs, I don't know, they need to really investigate that officer, and he should be off the force or leave until that matter is dealt with. Because we have too much issues with guns and the police, and if something is not done soon, I think we'll have a lot of retaliation in Grenada. So please, I'm asking the police, Mr. Cohen, please train your officers, speak to your officers, put the right set of people to deal with people. If they cannot communicate and they do not have the level of education necessary to speak to the people in public, put them in the back to do diaries or put them somewhere else, because that is the problem we are having here in Grenada. So I think they need to look into that as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, caller. What we cannot independently confirm is that he was shot 4 times. We cannot independently confirm that. I just wanted to say that just to piggyback a little bit on what the caller said. We got last call. That's the final call, and then we'll get last closing statements, and then we'll close off. Caller, you live. Where are you calling us from?
Calling from Canada.
Go ahead, Canada.
Yeah, I want to give my support to my brother, Sasoy Danny. He's there the word. You know, we grew up as boy from St. Lucas, small, and seen the news with your dad and your brother. It really break my heart. Just want you to know that the whole other point, as we as one family, we have your back, we have the family back. Take care of yourself, take care of mom, and your sisters and your brothers. Be strong. They need you. And Junior, as the gentleman said, I think we need a body to investigate police, you know, like many ex-police officers, retired police officers, to investigate police, when police do something, any criminal case, whatever, you know, instead of bringing back this ex-police as commissioners and stuff from a body, so they can investigate these police and stuff, because some of them young and green and they just want to come and run the street, and you understand? So hold it down, take care. Kevin, good seeing you. All the best.
All right, caller. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you.
Right. Let's go around for final statements. Kevin, we'll start with you. What do you want to say in closing? Okay, Kevin having a bit of a audio video problem again. Joel, let's get some closing statements from you.
Well, basically, going forward, I do hope that this will be the last incident of that nature in Grenada. I do hope that the leadership of the RGPF will put the necessary systems in place to ensure that, you know, the police officers are properly trained, that they can have a better relationship with the public. I was also encourage the public to also show respect for the police in terms of administering the law or executing their duties. I think going forward, once we are able to have a better relationship between the public and the police, with the police respecting the public and the public respecting the police, and when those incidents of police brutality or police violating the rights of citizens, that those incidents are taken very seriously. I think it will send a strong message to the RGPF that the leadership is serious about those incidents, and if the necessary actions are taken against police officers when they commit those sort of offenses. So I just believe that going forward, those incidents should not happen again, and it's just my hope that we can have better policing in our country.
Thank you, Joel. And Donnie, again, our deepest sympathies to you and the family, Donnie. We really feel your pain. There is no amount of words that could bring back your father, and we completely understand what you guys are going through. We're really sorry, and thanks for, just coming on here because we know it's painful, and this really should be an opportunity for your family to really get together and mourn. But you decided to come on, and we appreciate that because, as was said, that there were some information that was circulating that sort of tainted his legacy. And I wanted to kind of understand the person himself. I wanted to understand Mr. Uh, Trevor Regis, to understand the type of person. I think you did paint a really good picture of the person himself. Well, thank you again for coming on. Any last word you want to say before we wrap up, Bonnie?
Yeah, to the family out there, the police officers and them who got damaged. My heart goes out to you. Don't know if you all know that my family went out to the hospital to check for them, and they was denied. They didn't get a chance to see them. So I don't know the reason why. So it's a certain so. My heart goes out to you. So I don't know who. Well, I heard one of the family member call on the phone earlier. Check. So I feeling hurt 2 times, not just once. Knowing that my father damaged people and he dead right now. So he didn't have to reach there if they had done what they have to do. So people going to say, "Oh, we need justice for the police," and the police get justice, didn't they? They shoot my father and they kill him. They ain't get the justice. We have to get justice. Right? We brother get shot first. We ain't getting justice for that. He didn't have to reach that point where the police officers and get damaged. If they did, if they had done what they're supposed to do. Yeah. Them get damaged, know them talking about justice. Think twice. Think twice. Yeah? Look at it.
Thank you.
They shoot the man. They shoot the man while the man on the ground, running from the police. I heard Mr. Curwen talk about the excessive force and police use excessive force or use force when force is being used on them. Right? No force being used on the police. The man running from the police. The man fall. They still shooting. And then you want to talk, but you ain't know nothing. And you can't say nothing. Come up, man. Come up, man, police, man. Come up, man. You come up. You gotta come up, man. You're a good police out there. Otherwise, stay sharp. Look up yourself, yeah? You're sharp. Big up yourself, man. I'm a bedroom Tyrone. Yeah, Javier. Feedback. Big up on yourself, yeah? There are enough bedroom that goes to in GBC and things still, but enough. Enough man that go back school, though. Female. I know Diane. He good. She good. Check. So in order to say, police bad, police, yeah, you're good ones, man. You're good ones. Yeah. but they are being put in a spotlight. I mean, they're gonna be show, they're gonna be recognized. People will see them as good, people will see them as bad because of what the picture they're painting right now. Look, they ain't getting no justice for the man involved yet. You know, so what my brother will get? Let's fight together, fight for it. You know, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Curwen. Yeah, Mr. Curwen. I'll let you first, brother. Just making it now. And shoot my brother. Kill my father. So we want something.
Danny, would
That's
you
what we
would you
need.
Danny, would you agree? Would you agree to have one of our counselors contact you just to talk? Because I know you're going through a lot of pain, and we understand. Would you agree to have one of our counselors contact you? Danny,
Counsel to counsel me?
just to talk, just to talk. I know we are. I
No,
mean,
man. To be honest, Junior, we don't really need that. We go hold hands, man. See?
okay,
Yeah, we go hold hands, man. We have good people around us, you know. The police is painting a picture as a point bad. The amount of good people here in point here. We are enough to hold us, man. We good.
okay,
We good, we good.
okay, okay. I understand. Let's close it up, Kevin. Kevin, let's close it up. Um, your final closing words, Kevin, on this very sad, extremely sad moment in our history.
Junior, I feel the same pain as Danny, because as I said before, it's not just Danny's father, it's a man in the community, a father figure in the community. For a lot of us who, you watch him as that father figure and watch the way, he grew his kids and stuff. But, a lot of the callers call and say, the same thing that, Joel keeps saying. And I'm going to just reiterate some of Joel's, ideas. So I think police investigating police, it's like a recipe for disaster in itself. There has to be an independent body. Greater is not backward as we make it seem like we are just stuck in the 1940s era where everything is done according to what was happening back in 1940. Greater is an independent nation, and like I said, we have a lot of communication, a lot of relationship, a lot of dialogue with a lot of G7 nations, especially Canada and the US. And I know Junior, you in New York, I'm in Toronto. You know, Toronto has an independent body when it comes to investigating police, interaction with the public. And I think what, it's time we move forward. This is the 21st century. Greater needs to move forward and create an independent body, comprised of civilians, and whether you want to put some legal entities in it, to investigate the interaction of police with the public. Now, both in both instances, a firearm was discharged on a civilian. Okay, in one instance, a civilian that was deemed, almost helpless. He was already on lying on the ground. And in the second instance, and I'm going to go back to Vannie's comment about excessive use of force. I have background in um excessive use of force. If Mr. Regis was charging the police with that same officer that fired those shots with the knife, I would have said, what, it was more deemed, not acceptable, but more understandable. But he wasn't charging that officer. So I mean, somebody called before and said, why not, shoot him on his leg? Why not, probably on his arm or whatever? That shows us that we're using a lot of primitive, approach to dealing with the public. That the RGPF needs to go back and take a look at, and come up with some kind. Maybe they need to be retraining. Maybe there need to be a special section of the RGPF that deals with people in crisis. That the regular policing on the street, the guys who for some reason carry a firearm, don't see it fit to to to, to be the first thing is to draw a firearm, right? People go through a lot of stuff, right? And I am my heart go out to those two officers. My heart really go out to those two officers and their extended families, right? At the end of the day, Mr. Regis lost his life. Two other police officers got injured. These are scars that they're gonna have to live with. But at the end of the day, the Regis family and the whole of Fontenoy is gonna have to live with losing a member of that community that was so valuable in influencing a lot of us young people raised in that community that look up to him as that father figure, right? So I mean, when it's all said and done, like Danny said, there's they have to bury their dad, but at the end of it, there's three other things. There's three other people. There's San Chris, who we all of us in front now have to look back now and say, what happens 2, 3, 4 months down the line? Would you be able to actually use that hand again? Would you be able to swim and represent Grenada again? Okay, and then what about those two officers? Right? At the end of the day, their family too is gonna have to say, what, that's a very close one. What if they probably had gotten stabbed the wrong way or cut the wrong way, and they too had lost their life. It would have been a major tragedy. Yeah. And it really didn't have to go that way. It didn't have to go that way at all. I really think if somebody out there had heard that crying dad's plea for help, please somebody tell me something. Why I mean, like Danny said, even if somebody had come and say, what, well, this is what happened, but we promise you we're not gonna leave any stone unturned. Right. Just to get to the bottom of this, it would have been a whole different approach. But nothing. The Prime Minister didn't show up. Vannie talk a pile of garbage. Why now do you guys want to reach out to the family when there's two crises in that family? Yeah. The dad is dead. Nothing could bring him back. Okay. The son is injured. Yeah. So why now? Why we have to stop Grenada? And I'm a Grenadian, and I always say I'm a pro-Grenadian, Junior. The only thing I don't have attached to my vehicle is probably the Prime Minister. I have everything for Grenada, a flag, a map, everything. I am a Grenadian, and I think it's time that we stop being proactive and be reactive. I'm stop being reactive and be proactive. We wait for things to happen and then react it. Yeah. Right? Rather than looking at it before and saying, what, let me put ABC in place before something happens. And that one needs to be done. They are good police officers out there. They are amazing officers. I have family who's still in the force. Okay? I have friends who are in the force. The whole force is not that. The whole picture doesn't paint a picture of the whole police force. But at the end of the day, they always say, what, Peter pay for Paul and Paul pay for all. And it's unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate. And the whole thing is, I saw someone, Tiny wrote something in there. At the end of the day, nobody wins. And that is so true. Is it true? Yep. The day. Guys, we got to wrap up right here. But I got to thank you guys for coming on. Donnie, thank you for coming on. Joel and Kevin, thank you guys so much for coming and share your insights right here on the program. Today, we're going to keep in touch and update everyone as the progress going forward. All right. Thank you, Junior. All right. Thank you, guys.
You gotta be firm in this
time, son. When we
you gotta be strong in this time, son.
When we promo the show today, right? The tag was how it happened. and a lot of people took shots, or what really happened, I think was the term that we used. And everybody took shots of that we'll never really know what happened by bringing these panelists on here to talk. And you know, right? You know what? You're right. But we're going to start the conversation. What we did here is start the conversation. I didn't expect at the end of the show today that we'll get a definitive point by point view as to exactly what happened. The police, of course, would have their side of the story, and the family would have a passionate side of the story as well. But we'll start the conversation and we're paying attention to the final outcome of it. We may never know what actually happened, not even after the investigation, because some people might say, no, it didn't happen that way. So definitively, it still leaves a big question mark. What really happened? But again, we're starting the conversation. But I like what Tiny said there on her post. Nobody wins. Nobody wins at the end of the day. Look, some people might say, well, if the police never approached Chris smoking his blunt and shot him, then the father would not have gone into a temporary, I call it a temporary phase of insanity, and reacted in the way that he did. So if that didn't happen, then what happened would have never happened. So it's like a domino effect, right? So how could we prevent from what happened initially to possibly not happen again? And that's part of the interview that we had with Vannie Curwen as it relates to excessive use of force. And I try to press him on, if someone is not presenting imminent force or imminent threat to the police officer or imminent threat to the person, should they use that deadly force? And he couldn't talk about it because he said that it was currently under investigation. But that is where we need to look. Was the police officer authorized to use this type of deadly force if the report came out that, as reported by the press, if it happened the way how Mr. Regis said it happened, if it happened like that, was the police justified in any way? And that's where probably we could start peeling out the different layers of the onion to try to understand what really happened and what could be prevented. Because we need to understand, they really need to do a thorough investigation as to what happened, and but starting back to that point, right? Now, I have a son, and I was trying to explain to someone today, I don't know how I would have acted if someone did something to my son. I'm not saying that I'm a violent person. I'm not saying that I would have attacked anybody. I just don't know how the hell I would have acted. Just this weekend, right? And this is a very quick story. Just this weekend, I was in a soccer game with my son, and he's in the defense, left wing or something like that. And someone ran into him, right? Purposely, just so they could break the defense of the soccer team and they could possibly go in and score. And they slam him and he flipped over and his head and he flipped. I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, I got chills, just looking at that. After the game, I was standing in the proximity of the players from the other team, and they was boasting about it. They was boasting about how the attacker ran my son and have him flip over in a complete somersault. And I just got chills. So I could understand how a parent feel when something is done to a family. You get chills. You lose your mind. You lose your freaking mind. And parents could understand. Parents understand this also well. You lose your mind. You tell yourself, well, listen, I don't know. I'm not preaching violence here. I think that I'll be the first to say, I think that justice should take its course. But none of us could say that we would have acted like Mr. Regis or not, because we just don't know. We just don't know how we would have reacted when something like that happened to our children. Or something that only parents could feel. Only parents could feel. And I believe Mr. Regis went into a temporary phase where he just had it. He just lost it. He just lost it. Right? Not saying that is right. And we sent out all of our prayers to the 2 police officers that got stabbed. It is sad. It is also sad. It's not all the way wrong. Nobody wins, man. And think about the son now. He's going to grow up hating the police for the rest of his life. That's his father. Huh? And his father died defending him. This is so sad. I mean, the long-term effect is sad. It's just sad. All the way wrong. All the way wrong. All the way wrong. Let's hope that none of us have to actually go through this. By this, I mean that what Mr. Regis went through, and also what the 2 police officers had to go through, finding out that someone stabbed their family member. Let's hope that none of us had to go through this. Because I just don't know how I would have reacted. I don't know how I would have reacted. It's sad. So, guys, we found out today what the family felt, the story, the narrative that the family have as to what happened. We also found out a little bit as to what the police said that happened. Hopefully, after the investigation is done, there will be a thorough investigation by the DPP and all involved. Hopefully, as Mr. Curwen said, he could reassure the community of a complete and thorough investigation where all is held accountable for their action. A mouthful said here, guys, but it was necessary to say. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of our program today. And to all that said, I'm reading the comments, and all that said, okay, so what happens now? You're going to have them on there, and he speaks about his father so passionately. So what happens now? And anyone that knows Ridealong and pay a lot of attention, you know that we do follow up. You know that we provide counseling services if needed on us, right? You know that we do that. So this is not a situation where someone come on the show and we left them out to dry. We provide follow-up and counseling services on us. And that's what we do to all of everyone that come on the program. This is what we do for all of our guests that comes on. If needed, we'll provide the counseling services. So they're not just there and hang out to dry, all right? Just so you guys know. Anyway, that's all my time. I want to tell you guys about a couple things that's happening really quickly. As it relates to advertising, if you want to advertise right here on Ridealong Live, right? If you have a business, a small business or whatever you have and you want to advertise, micro enterprise, advertise your business right here on Ridealong Live. Call us at this number right here, 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. Advertise your business on Ridealong Live. We give you all the marketing assistance, everything you need to get your business to the next level. Got a business? Advertise it live on Ridealong Live. 718-701-5720. Or you could also inbox us for more details. Folks, if you have an event, a private event that you want streamed live, Ridealong Live video production department will provide all the services you need to make it possible. All right? Call us right now. You have a funeral, a wedding, a private event, a public event. Call us right now. 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. Also, guys, we are doing this. We just extended the time. Guys. Ridealong Live is providing our $1,000 shopping spree. We're breaking that up into two $500 shopping spree. One person in Grenada, one person in Carriacou. All right. If you know someone that could benefit from our $500 shopping spree for groceries, I want you guys to nominate someone. For that $500 shopping spree. You download the Emoji app, this app right here. Download it onto your phone, or you could call us and inbox us a name of someone that you want to enter into our shopping spree, right? At the end of the week on Friday, we are going to spin the wheel and pick a name. And that person will get $500 on us to go shopping. $500. Nominate someone that could benefit from our Ridealong $500 shopping spree. Again, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of our program today. Catch me again tomorrow. Tomorrow's election. Oh, boy. I ain't looking forward to that one. Tomorrow's election, and we are going to be covering election. So tomorrow, 6 p.m., we're going to be giving you exclusive election coverage. We have correspondents from all over with in-depth, precise, up-to-date, and accurate information. So tune in to us for election coverage tomorrow. We're going to be looking at all the channels. As the results come in, we're going to be bringing it to you live tomorrow. General election in the U.S. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.
A message by the Grenada Distillers Limited.
You want a hand sanitizer to do 3 things: kill germs, be gentle, and to go where you go. You can get all of that in our hand sanitizer. Hard on germs, gentle on hands, affordable. Remember, hand sanitizers contain alcohol. Keep away from heat and flames and avoid contact with eyes. Available at retailers island-wide.
A message.
Hey, I got some good news for you. Looking for a passionate immigration lawyer with experience that spans over 2 decades? Someone trusted that served immigrant families just like yours? Well, look no more. Now you can benefit from her personal and professional experience. Diane Winter Funde. Schedule a consultation now and get assistance with your immigration journey. Specialize in adjustment of status, B1 business visa, B2 visitors visa, consular processing, deportation defense, naturalization, and more. Give us a call today at 813-815-3529. That's 813-815-3529 or online at winterimmigration.com. Attorney Diane Winter Funde, law done differently.
You're constantly thinking of food, but sometimes you just don't want to cook or want something a little different. That's when you call Tasties, preparing meals that you really love. Tasties, our mouth-watering food, would have you coming back every day. But hold on, we only prepare meals Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for now. Call early because we have a lot to serve and we would love to serve you. Tasties, we prepare the meals you love to eat. From macaroni pie to baked chicken, provision dumpling and saltfish, stewed chicken, curry chicken, baked chicken, rice and peas, salads, and more. Please call for daily menu. Call 425-0624 or 403-0411. You can pick up your meals from us or we deliver it to you. Tasties, food that's delicious.
Ridealong Live, where everyone has a story to tell.
I march to a beat only I can conceive. I play with the ocean endlessly. I dance with the waves that cover me and laugh at the notion she sings to me. The mountains sway in harmony. I share thoughts with the trees and they all agree. I'm not crazy, I'm free. I breathe, I move, I love nature. I breathe, I move, I love nature. Halle, 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 halle. I can run with the river, soar over hills. I can move mountains with the words that I speak. The sunshine